It began with her silence. Jen, my 4-year-old daughter, came back from her grandmother's place and simply stopped eating. No tantrums, no excuses, just quiet refusal. At first, I assumed it was typical defiance, a child testing her boundaries. But it wasn't stubbornness. It was fear. Each time I tried to feed her, she shook her head and murmured, "I'm not hungry." Her voice quivered, her eyes wide, as though she were confessing a sin. That night, long after midnight, I stood by her door and heard soft sounds, sobs tangled with whispers. I eased the door open. Jen sat on the floor, tiny hands clasped in her lap, whispering into the dark. I strained to hear. Then the words came clear. "I'm sorry. I won't steal food again. Please don't tell Grandma." Something inside me went still. My breath froze between anger and disbelief. She wasn't pretending. She was apologizing. And in that moment, I knew something terrible had happened in that house, something no one wanted me to discover. The next morning, I asked my wife, carefully. She brushed it off with a light laugh. "Kids make things up," she said, sipping her coffee but never meeting my eyes. Yet her hands shook as she set the cup down. I noticed the way she avoided saying Jen's name, the way her shoulders stiffened when I mentioned her mother, my mother-in-law, a woman who smiled like a saint but judged like a god. She'd always insisted Jen stay with her to learn manners. Those words now sounded like a warning. I called Jen's pediatrician, hoping for a medical reason. There wasn't one. Physically, she was fine. Emotionally, she had shut down. At dinner that night, my wife placed a plate before her. Jen flinched, actually flinched. Her gaze darted toward her mother's hands, bracing for something. And in that instant, something within me fractured quietly, like glass cracking under a whisper. I said nothing. I just watched and started planning. Over the next few days, I began visiting my mother-in-law's home unannounced. Once in the afternoon, once near dusk. She never invited me in. "Next time, dear," she'd say with a brittle smile. "The house is messy." But I saw Jen's drawings pinned to her fridge. In every picture, one figure towered above the rest, gray hair, red dress, eyes drawn in harsh black lines. That night, I checked Jen's baby monitor footage. She had tucked something beneath her bed. When she left for preschool, I found it, a crumpled napkin scrawled with shaky letters. "No food. Bad girl. Grandma says hide." My pulse didn't race. It steadied. Because rage doesn't always scream, it focuses. I hid a voice recorder inside Jen's backpack. The next weekend, when my wife said Jen should stay over again, I agreed. I even smiled. When they left, I sat in the quiet, staring at the wall as night bled into morning. Then I pressed play. Click. Footsteps. Voices. My mother-in-law's tone, sweet at first, then sharp. Jen's soft whimper. And then, "If you eat without permission, I'll lock you in the dark again." A door closed. A faint cry. Silence. I stopped the recording. My hands stayed steady. They should have shaken, but didn't. Later, I played it for my wife. She froze, the color draining from her face. Her mouth opened, then closed again. She stammered. I didn't let her finish. I replayed it once, twice, until her denial cracked into tears. Until she realized I wasn't asking questions. I was showing proof. "Did you know?" I asked quietly. Her silence said everything. She wept, trembling, reaching out, but I stepped back. Because now I saw it, the complicity, the guilt buried under the fragile illusion of family peace. She had known, and she'd let it happen. The next morning, I drove to that house. The old woman opened the door, wearing her usual sugar-sweet smile. "Oh, it's you again." I handed her an envelope, printed transcripts of every recorded word. Her hands trembled as she turned the pages. I leaned in close and whispered, "You will never see her again." No shouting, no threats, just truth, delivered like a verdict. She tried to laugh it off. I pressed play on my phone. The recording echoed down the street. Her expression shifted, first disbelief, then fear, and finally something small and broken collapsing inside her. When I left, she was still in the doorway, clutching those papers like they were burning her palms. Jen eats now, slowly, quietly. Sometimes she asks if Grandma is still angry. I tell her no, Grandma's gone away. My wife moved out last week. She didn't resist. Maybe guilt becomes gravity. You stop fighting, and it just drags you under. The house is silent again, but it's a clean silence. No whispers behind doors. No apologies in the dark. At night, I sit in Jen's room, watching her sleep. Each rise and fall of her chest feels sacred. She doesn't know what I did to protect her. She doesn't have to. All she needs to know is that no one will ever hurt her again. And if they try, I'll be waiting, silent, patient, unforgiving.